rainbow.
Welcome to this week's Plates and Pancakes. After the Adrian win last night over Lone Jack 46-13, brought in 2 more players to interview. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. So, last night, another big victory. Things are rolling well. I'll have you guys introduce yourself, and then we'll start with the interview.
I'm Connor Bridges. I play strong side tackle, and I rotate in at defensive end.
I'm Hank Tinholder, and I play quick tackle and DN.
And Hank, you're a sophomore?
Yep.
And Connor,
Sophomore.
you're a senior?
Yep.
All right, so first home game of the year. Booster Club out, band out, nice night. What was it like to be home and not drive an hour and a half?
I thought it was fantastic, and that was one of the biggest crowds that I ever saw at the Adrian football field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the biggest crowd I've ever seen for sure.
Yeah, it was
Amount of
huge.
Support,
So, yeah, and then you didn't have to get on a bus.
yeah.
That
You
was
just go
nice.
straight to the complex, get ready to roll.
No 3-hour bus rides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you're playing both directions, both of you, offense, defense, wherever they can fit you in on special teams.
Yeah.
What do you prefer, Connor?
I'm more of an offensive guy. I like being at tackle, being able to do down blocks and stuff like that.
Hank, what do you prefer?
I'm definitely defensive minded. I love defense and being DN. I like offense too, but defense is definitely where it's at.
Your defense showed up really well last night. You were talked about for the all-heart player of the game. You were in the backfield disrupting probably as much as anybody. It's hard to narrow one of you guys down that's in the backfield, but you had a really good game last night. Offensively, everything seems to be rolling, moving good. You thought about the fullback, Hank?
Yeah, I was tight end in 8th grade, and I really like tight end. It'd be pretty cool to be fullback, but
I mean, I wouldn't say that they need to run you like they do gents, but just a special package, get you out there, let you get some touches on the ball.
yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool, but maybe one day. I don't see him doing it this season though.
And may not. You've got a lot of career left.
Yeah,
I mean, you're playing a good tackle spot. There's no reason to change what's working. But it would be an interesting setup to see you back there. Connor, you've since I met you a few years ago, you've dropped quite a bit of weight. How's that affected you this season?
Well, in all honesty, I sort of regret dropping as much weight as quick as I did. I lost a ton of strength, but I think it did help out a ton with the quickness factor. A lot more flexible, stuff like that.
How much weight did you lose?
130 pounds.
130 pounds. So you lost a half a person.
Yeah.
So what would you say to the people on Facebook that say that half of the person was the football player?
I would say you don't know what you're talking about.
It's, people talk.
Yep. I don't know. There's a lot more to it than just being big. I think that I'm better at it. I might be weaker, but I think that I can get off the ball so much faster, get where I want to be whenever I'm blocking.
And a little more comfortable in your skin.
Yeah.
Carrying that extra weight
Makes you feel
different.
bogged down.
Right. If you've never carried it, it's very hard to explain to somebody.
Yeah.
You do look quicker. You do get down the field well. We tried this interview a few weeks ago. Hank was gracious enough to be on then. The audio didn't work, so I have him back on. But in that interview, we had an over-under on personal fouls, and I give him 3 games, mostly because he's an emotional player. Nothing dirty, nothing out of the ordinary, just overzealous maybe. May have got him a flag, and he proved me wrong. He's playing well within himself, not getting out there too far. Do you feel like you're comfortable with where you're playing?
Yeah, I think the first 2 games, I mean, you always got to find, sometimes it takes a second to find your, notch or where you want to be at for the season. And every game, I'm definitely getting better. I think the whole team is getting more comfortable and more prepared as the season goes on.
For sure.
So, I mean, every game we're improving, and that's a really important thing.
Just knowing you, I know you have the ability to probably really talk some pretty good stuff across the line. Have you managed to keep your emotions kind of gathered up, and or do you still let them know you're coming?
I don't really talk that much. Only it's like if once I don't start talking unless they say something to me first, and then usually it's just like something dumb I say back, and they usually just don't have anything to say back to it, and they just walk away.
So that's your plan, is to say something stupid and try to catch them off guard?
Yeah, or just like, I don't know, like number 61 last night, I blocked him, and he just started following me or whatever, and I was just like, walked away, but that was about it.
Connor, you have the ability to talk some pretty good stuff too. It might get you in trouble at times. How do you keep it in check?
Well, I'm down on the line every time, so I don't really have to keep it in check. I let the words go most of the time.
So you're a vocal player, would you say?
I'm a pretty vocal player. I like to piss people off.
That's part of the game.
Yeah.
And as you get to higher levels, I think it gets better and better.
Yeah.
So last night, you did have a personal foul.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't talking related. It was an incredible hit on a backside block that
Yeah.
sprung Tally to get down the field. I saw you talking to the ref. What was his explanation of why he threw the flag?
He told me that any play where I am in front of the play and I'm coming back to hit a player, no matter where they are, especially if they're not looking at me, he said his head was turned. He said anything like that, it's crack block, immediate penalty. Said it doesn't matter if I lead with my hands or anything. He's a defenseless player, and I can't hit him.
I don't know that I would totally agree with that assessment on that play. He was, we watched it. We were in the PrepCast booth. There was nothing that I saw that I would have thought was flagrant. The
Yeah.
kid was in the position to make the tackle. It was the block
Yeah.
that sprung downfield. But I thought you handled it well. You talked to the ref. You found out what he didn't like. I'm sure you can correct it going forward.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it is football, and
Yeah.
people are going to get laid out.
I think the game's gotten a little softer. I hit him on the front, just a penalty, crack block.
Right. I would agree with that. They've really toned the game down. It seems like you could say through the years there has been a war on football
Yeah.
and how
Definitely.
aggressive it is. The concussions and all that have really been brought to the forefront.
Yeah.
And you're going to have those in a physical game. You're going to have a flag that maybe not everybody agrees with.
Just the way it goes.
It didn't affect the outcome. It wasn't a game-changing deal, playing hard. So, to get to know you guys personally, what's your favorite movie, Hank?
Oh, favorite movie. I really like the Rambo movies.
If you could,
Probably.
without cutting you off, that's a good deal. I'm a Rambo fan too. Can you list them in order of the best to the worst?
No.
You don't have a favorite of them all?
Yeah. I think I haven't watched them in like a couple years. Probably, was it First Blood is one of them.
First Blood's the first one, yes.
And then what's the second one?
It's Rambo, and it's where he goes back over to Vietnam. And
that one's cool, but it's not as cool as First Blood. Like, that's the one where they get him out of prison, right?
Yes.
That one's cool, but it's not my favorite one.
What's your favorite one?
The one where the cops are chasing him, and he's in the woods.
That's First Blood.
Yeah, First Blood, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
First Blood's my favorite.
Yeah, he ends up back in the town,
Uh-huh.
and he blows everything up.
Yep. Yeah.
It's hard to beat the first one. If I was to rank them, my opinion, First Blood's 1.
Uh-huh.
I think Rambo 2 is 2. I think, what would that be? The fourth one?
Fourth one. Is that the one where he's in Vietnam?
Yeah, I believe he goes. He might be he was in Thailand, and they come and got him, and then they brought him back.
He's older in that.
He is older. I would put that one there. Then I'd put 3 as the fourth best. And I thought the last Rambo was not very good.
Where he's just on his ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's neat because he's so much older now, but
I mean, it was kind of a stripped down Taken.
yeah.
It kind of built on something that was already done. It got away from where
Originally was.
the original story was. I mean, he got to go home, and you got to see him home, and that was kind of the point of all the movies prior to that, was he was inability to go home. I get that, but well, what about you, Connor? What would be on your top of the list?
I'm a big fan of all the Marvel movies.
You have one that sticks out?
I really liked Endgame, and I really like the Deadpool movies too.
The Deadpool movies were good.
They're hilarious.
Now, on top of the Marvel movies, do you like the off series?
Like what?
Daredevil, Punisher.
Punisher was great. I like the Punisher. They're like Luke Cage. You seen that one?
I have not seen that.
It's all right, but there's a bunch of them.
There is.
Yeah.
They go along with the whole series well.
Yeah.
Understanding what you need to watch first.
Yeah, chronological order. That's
It makes it all make a lot more
Yeah.
sense. What did you think of the last Thor movie?
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. The Zeus part, everything with Zeus was so funny. Seeing him come out there all big and fat with a lightning sword, that was great.
So you were a fan of it.
Yeah.
I've heard people say different things on it. Like maybe they stripped Thor down too much, made him too comical.
I don't know. I like it. I'm a fan of Deadpool. He sort of takes on like that side of superheroes, you know.
No, I would say mine is probably Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is really good too.
I like the second one. I didn't think was near as good as the first one. The
Yeah.
first one, setting the premise up, was a great movie. So moving on into back to the game. What were Davis's thoughts? I mean, you guys were rolling by halftime. What does he say at halftime to get you to come back out and play?
We really try and have an attitude of focus on the next play. It doesn't matter. We could score on some play. We could fumble the ball. Doesn't matter. You got to focus on the next play. Come back out at half thinking that the score is 0-0. Just play our game and we'll do well. But at that halftime, Davis knew it was over. He told us that ones and one rotators were done.
What about you, Hank? Anything he said that
No.
you can elaborate on?
Not particularly, not that game, but I mean, the coaches, I feel like number one thing for a game is energy. High energy coming out, start fast. So, I mean, it's always that at halftime, come out, starting fast.
Smash mouth.
Yeah.
We've actually talked about putting a counter on every time somebody says smash mouth. Gents last week was leading the charge. That was one of the comments in the last podcast. So what do you think? It's hard to evaluate really what's working well because everything you're doing is working well. But is there something that you feel like is just really rolling?
Yeah, I noticed that the past two teams we played, whenever we get into, when we're ever going to run sweep or something, or jet, they know. Like, they change their formation. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
And we still run it good, but it's always like, oh, man, they know what's going to happen here. And still, you just get your blocks. But I think what's been working really good is just beating them up front.
Yeah.
ISOs in the middle, mid-lines, dives. And then I think our counters and specials where the guard and tackle pull.
Backside.
Yeah, and I that play, I mean, we were picking up yards every time. As long as there's not penetration through the line,
Yeah.
it's a good play.
The line's really moving people off. It's giving Hunter and Tally and Gents plenty of room to run.
Gents don't need that.
Gents may not need the room, but anytime you can keep a guy from first contact, keep your running back a little healthier, a little longer, that'll go a long ways.
I feel like we added a couple audible calls for Miller to just change the play whenever we're up there. I feel like when we ran those, he's pretty good at reading the defense and knowing when to call the audible. And I feel like just Hunter Bailey, 5 or 6 yards every play, just beating them down until they don't want to play anymore. Always a good strategy.
I mean, the math works out well.
Yeah.
If you're getting 4 to 5 yards a carry, you don't need to do anything else.
Yeah. We really just wear the other teams down. And just like Hank was saying, our line, they get a push every time.
Yeah.
So going forward, where's the work needed? We're going to eventually face somebody, or you guys are going to eventually face somebody that's going to test you. Where do you think the effort needs to be put in now to be ready for that when it comes?
I think that we need to work a little bit on our passing game, on seeing where to throw the ball, how to read coverage, leverage for wide receivers. And I think that while the line does get a push, I think we need to work a lot more on communication, because we play teams where they're sending 3 or 4 backers every play, and it might be a lot of backers, but it's still the line's job to not let any penetration get through.
Pick
Definitely
them up as
room
they're
for
coming
improvement. Yeah.
What about you, Hank? What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say communication is always something you can build on. And same thing with, like strength and quickness. That's stuff that throughout the season you're going to get better. You're going to know where people are going to be at better. So I would say just the one thing we could work on is just getting more reps. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. The team that has repped that play more times is going to run it better. So,
Yeah.
So what are you working on that you're excited about in practice? I mean, without coming out and just letting a huge cat out of the bag, what's coming along that's close that you think is really going to be an attribute as the season goes on?
I think that our wildcat formation with Hunter at quarterback, I think that really throws the defense off sometimes, and there's a bunch of plays that we can run from that. And I don't know, Davis is the head coach. He's the O-line coach too. He's the one teaching us, and just everything we do down there is just brick on brick on brick, just building up to where we want to be. I think it'll be fantastic.
What about you?
yeah, I completely agree with that. I think, every week I can just see everyone getting better, getting more excited. Last year I remember people, like the seniors, and I don't want to say just the seniors, but it seemed like as the season went on, more people just wanted the season to end. And this year, it's like as the season goes on, we're just getting more and more excited to keep playing.
We're ready.
Yeah.
There's a lot to play for with this team. There's a legitimate shot that we haven't maybe seen in a few years to really push it towards state.
Yeah.
So, went to the volleyball game the other night. You guys were all out in your Hawaiian gear, cheering on the girls. After the game, I did see a tweet that said that if Connor's shorts get any shorter, he could actually play volleyball. What do you think about that?
They're swim trunks, man. Give me a break.
They are swim trunks, but they do have to cover the necessities. You don't want to get confused with sitting in gum, right?
I like to be able to show off what I got.
It was pretty rowdy over there for a while.
Yeah.
You guys did a good job keeping the fans in it, keeping the girls playing hard. What do you think is your biggest obstacle on a daily basis, Hank?
Biggest obstacle on a daily basis. Time. There's a lot of things you want to get done in a day and in a week. You want to keep your good workout schedule. You want to show up at practice, get enough sleep. You want to have time to do things that you like doing. You want to be able to hang out with friends, family time. So sometimes, weeks are just really loaded and it's hard to find time to get all that stuff done. And on top of school and everything, work, it gets to be a lot, but you find time to do things that you want to do. You make time for the things that are important. So, yeah, just take it day by day.
Rambo quote?
Yeah.
How are you going to live day by day? That was a nice tie-in. What about you, Connor? What's your biggest struggle?
I'd say probably recovery. Just like Hank said, time's obviously a big factor, but I have so much homework. I have a really hard time getting to sleep, getting the right sleep that I need. And when we're at school and we're running around all day from 7 in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, it's hard to eat what I want to eat to get my protein intake in. But we're figuring it out as we go. It just gets a little busy sometimes.
The preparation that it takes to have food with you all the time,
Yeah.
get your studies done, it's sometimes overlooked
Yeah.
at how much you guys are carrying sometimes. What would you say your biggest setback's been in your career, in your life? I mean, what's kind of derailed your plans a little and you've had to come back from?
I would say for me, when I gained all that weight, I was really slim and fit when I lived in Overland Park, but when I gained all that weight, it just took so much work to come back, and now I'm at a point that I'm not even as strong, fast as I was 3 years ago.
What about you, Hank?
I don't know if I'm really at that point in my career where I've had a really big setback. I mean, there's minor things like I had blisters on my feet really bad, and that sucked. Like, they were freaking huge blisters.
They were big blisters.
They hurt so bad, but I mean, just still went to practice. I mean, it sucked, but I wouldn't call it a setback really. And so I wouldn't say I've had things that have really held me back from what I want to do yet, but I know something's going to come, like play 4 years of it. 4 years is plenty of time for something to set you back, so.
Yeah, it's hard to run from adversity. It seems to find you, and probably at the worst time. So what would you say makes you unique to the team? If you were not able to play next week and somebody had to fill your role, what special thing do you bring that they would not be able to replicate?
I don't know. I think we have a really good roster. I don't think there's really anything that's that special about me that it couldn't be filled by someone else stepping into that position. I think we have a deep enough roster. The team would do good. So I don't know. That's kind of a hard question.
It is a hard question, but it's one that I don't think people think about a whole lot. I mean, you're part of a team. You're part of an organization. If you're just falling in the middle somewhere, what are you contributing? Sometimes you have to step back away from the situation and look and say, I do bring something to this. What is it? Narrow that down, build on that. It's a tough question just to answer as it getting thrown to you, but maybe you have time to think about it and something will pop up that, hey, I do bring something different that nobody can replace. What about you, Connor?
Well, first of all, I'd have to disagree with Hank. The energy that Hank brings, especially on the line, like when we're just practicing in games, I think that's something that no one else could replicate on our team. But for me, I'd say probably just trying to be a best of a leader as I can. It's hard for people to step up into that position, and I don't really mind doing it.
And Adrian has always had pretty strong field leaders. It's a position that somebody has to take on. You as a senior, leaving for a while, come back, you have a different perspective on life that maybe some others don't. It would put you in a position to lead.
Yeah.
So it's good to know that there are kids out there that are trying to fill that role, keep everything heading in the right direction.
And I feel like Hank, even as a sophomore, is still a good
He can
leader
still
as
get
well.
people to listen.
Yeah.
That is a difficult attribute because some kids play and don't ever want to be noticed.
Yep.
Some kids play and want all the attention.
Yep.
And then some kids play to bring everybody else around them up.
That's what you want.
So I talked to a few people to kind of get a feel on how you guys are as people. I know we've talked about it a little bit before, but with you, Hank, you were voted most likely to get highlights during halftime. What do you think? If somebody offered to give you highlights during a halftime, you take it? You get your hair work done?
Highlights. I heard you had to get highlights at least once in your life, so maybe after the game.
If you wouldn't do it during halftime, Davis might throw a fit.
Yeah,
but
Davis
it would look
get
really
pretty
good,
mad
I'm
at me.
sure.
Yeah.
Connor, you were talking to me earlier in the year about a new class. Maybe not new class. I think Brian started a conspiracy theory class. How do you think that's going to go this year?
Oh, I'll love it. I really enjoy it, especially with weeks. I don't know. I like learning about all those things. Really, I like to delve deep into stuff. So many different topics you can talk about with that general idea.
Is Week pretty delved into the conspiracy theory world?
Yeah, he's a really big history guy. He knows all about it. And once you start looking at history, you start to see things that are sort of off, and you start to look at different theories and stuff, and it all just clicks in your mind. And you keep going.
Right now, what's your favorite conspiracy theory? I mean, it can be as wild as you want it to be. It's just a theory, right?
It is just a theory. I think I would have to say the one that you were just talking to me about. That was really interesting. The Planned Parenthood one, and Nazis in Antarctica. That makes sense.
There's a lot of things out there that you could look at from a different angle and wonder if it's a conspiracy or if it's just the way things worked out. We were talking about, I guess, to fill people in, Nazis in Antarctica. Operation High Jump, and going down there after World War II and having flying saucers kind of tear us up a little bit.
The inner Earth civilization.
Inner Earth, that's a really unique conspiracy theory.
I like it.
And maybe that's why the ice caps are melting. Maybe the civilization's just using too much coal.
Fires.
You know, fossil fuels really depleting it from the inside out.
Yeah.
So this is a very violent game. You're out there, practice is violent. Preparation, workouts, all that stuff, high intensity. The game, really high intensity. What's your biggest fear when you step onto the field?
I don't have any fears. I think, if you're ever scared, then you're probably going to get hurt. You're probably not going to do good. You got to go out there with... before one of our games, if you've seen Mike Tyson, before he goes out to a fight, I go up to Connor and I'm like, I'm terrified. I was terrified, but I got supreme confidence. Every step I take, my confidence increases.
Do it all the way. Keep going.
The confidence is increasing. I'm terrified. The preparation is intense, but I don't care. I'm so ready for this fight, I'm going to rip his face.
Do you ever give him the tyrannical titan speech?
Oh, no.
Then I'm going to eat your children? That's one of the most iconic speeches he ever had. I'm really surprised that you haven't used that one, especially going across the line. That would be a good one. Your Mike Tyson voice.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But, it's true. You just got to be confident with every time you get... leading up to it, you need to be scared. You need to work hard to not be beat. And then once you're on that field, you need to have confidence that you're going to win, that you're going to beat them every single play. So,
what about you, Connor?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's being scared, but I feel like you need to have some fear, and that also goes with respect. It's no matter who you're playing, you need to respect your teammate or your opponent. You need to fear that. You need to play every game like it's going to be your last game. But I think that preparation week for the game is when you respect your opponent. You look at what they're doing, you prepare for them. But yeah, just like Hank said, once you step out on the field, just go play your game. Can't be scared.
Recovery. With time management, food, everything you have going, what time do you set aside just to kind of get your body back where it needs to be for the next week?
I don't really set time aside. Really the only thing that's hurting right now would be at the end of last season my shoulder started to hurt, and then as this season goes on it hurts a little more. Each practice gets a little worse, and then I won't hurt it for a couple days and it gets a little better, and it's just up and down, but it's not too serious. I think it's something that's going to go away after season, or hopefully will. And I have time at home where I'm not doing anything. I'm going lighter on my bench presses and stuff like that, just to not put as much stress on it. And just before a game, take ibuprofen, smother on some Tiger Balm, and it's about all you can do. So
it's a game that you're just going to have to play through some small injuries. Mm-hmm. So I guess that comes with the territory. Connor, what are some things you do?
Well, I've always had shoulder problems, and that Tiger Balm stuff really helps, ibuprofen. But if anything's hurting, just before bed, I'll play video games for 30 minutes with an ice pack on it and go to sleep. But it's about all I do. You just got to learn to play through it if you want to really play.
Preseason. Football's the only sport in school that gets the preseason attention. The weights, the conditioning, all of that goes into the game. And then that has to carry over to all the other sports. So what did you do this summer that you're really seeing carry over to the field? whether it be through Davis or on your own? Or
So during the summer, I did a new chest program to get my max up, which it was just really low reps, high sets, like 5 sets of, I don't know, 3 to 5 reps. And I got my bench. I was plateaued at like 275 for a long time, and I got it up to 305 and then pushing 315. And so that was really good to, get stronger in such a short amount of time before season. And then I still went to weights. Weights are good, but everyone should be going to weights. What is going to put you ahead of those people is when you do it on your own too. So, you always build a lot from weights and doing it on your own during the summer. And then this summer too, with Hunter Bailey's uncle, some of the football players did some agility stuff to get a little faster. And I've noticed that's probably the biggest thing I've noticed throughout my seasons of football is I'm getting faster and faster each year. So I would say that those two are probably the biggest things I've worked on this preseason.
Connor, what's carried over for you?
I sort of skipped out on weights a couple times this summer, if I'm being honest. I did. But I worked a couple pretty physical jobs over the summer, and I felt like those helped a lot. And I really got into my eating. I put a lot more time and effort into that, because if you're just eating whatever you want, and then you're not gonna grow muscle. You got to stick to something. I really tried to up my protein intake. I tried to eat a lot cleaner, and I tried to eat more. Like we used to talk about months ago, eating more. I was eating like 3,000 calories a day. It was good. I felt like that really helped a lot. And yeah, definitely just agility work. Our camps over the summer this year, I felt like were absolutely fantastic. I felt like even when we were just in helmets, we all had a lot of energy. This group's going to be really something special.
Yeah, I noticed. I want to talk about the camps. Our camps were great. The energy fantastic. We brought, everyone's just from the start. We're so excited to just be on the field, just put on a helmet.
Yeah,
that's how I got a special feeling after those camps. I was like, man, if we keep this up, good things are gonna happen. So
as long as we stay focused.
And still a lot more to go.
Yeah.
It's a long season. We're heading into week 4, which that kind of leads into that. What are you expecting out of Wellington Napoleon?
We currently don't have any film to watch on them. I think he might have posted it last night. I don't know.
He'll probably post it soon.
Yeah, he'll post it soon. But last year was a fun game against them last year. I don't know. I really don't think it matters who we play. If we go out there and play our game, then we're not going to get stopped.
Wellington has that big running back. They still have him. He's a good running back. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be a better game, than I think it's going to be equal to maybe a Slater team or the Windsor team. Maybe better, maybe worse. We don't really know yet, but we should bring a good game, some better challenges, and
we'll give them the respect they deserve. But I really just feel like if we play our game, we're going to play our game, and nothing's going to stop that.
That's what I was getting ready to kind of ask is, what does Davis do? What's kind of seems to be his plan to keep you guys up for games that you may not think are going to be as difficult as others down the road? Sometimes that's tough,
Well, that's been one of my big concerns too, is that our schedule this year isn't really packed, and I'm hoping that we don't get super accommodated to playing these teams that are not as good at it, basically. But Davis really he's really good at the pep talks and getting people in the right state of mind. He tells us every day basically we got to respect our opponents, we got to respect ourselves, and we just got to keep our energy up and focus on the next play.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, just you got to respect that team that you're going against. They even if they aren't good enough to beat you, they're good enough to make you look silly, and
can't play down to their level.
Yeah, you still need a clean game. limit the penalties. You know, that killed that first drive
Yeah.
last night. We had not scored on a first drive yet. We have a penalty, takes us back. We end up turning the ball over to them.
That was my holding penalty too.
That's something I'm thinking a lot about. They honored the state team last night, and when they were announcing, they mentioned like 3 or 4 games they had going in the districts and the playoffs that, you know, they were down by a touchdown or 2, and
They're tied.
yeah, are tied. And I mean, just thinking about that is we're gonna have games where we're gonna be down, and we don't know what it's like to not be up by 50 points yet. And we got to know that just because we're down by two touchdowns doesn't mean that the game's over. Like, we got to continue to fight, and that's something that it's either going to make or break us. We're not going to know how we're going to do with that until we do it. And I know I feel ready to fight in those situations. I'm pretty confident the whole team is. So.
Yeah, I'm ready.
What would be your vision of success at the end of the season when you walk away, you turn your helmet in, you turn your pads in? What is success?
I don't want anything less than a state championship.
Yep, ring on my finger, 100%. I don't see a point in aiming for anything less than that. So.
Every game's, you got to play every game like it's a state championship, and that's how you're going to get there.
So what's keeping you from becoming the player you think you should be? What obstacle right now is in your way, or that you need to work on to be the player that you have in your mind?
I don't know. I don't think biggest thing would just be maybe experience. I don't know. I think you put in the work, and if you know you're putting in the work, then it just comes down to, you know, off the field putting in the work. Then it comes on to how much time you get on the field. And I wouldn't say anything's holding me back. That feels like an excuse to me to say, like, I'm not strong enough or I'm not fast enough, you know. But I guess experience, I'm going to get better. I still got 2 more years to perfect myself. So I guess just see how I improve.
I'd say for me it's definitely just my shoulders. Both my shoulders, they are constantly in pain, especially at practice during games. Just with any punch movement, like, tweaks my shoulders, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's a setback, but it's something that I wish could get better.
Right now is a hard time to probably improve that with the beating they're taking.
Yeah.
Anything you do now may improve it, but it also may set you back a little further.
Yeah.
Not being a physical therapist, it's really hard to know what's going to create a better environment.
Yep.
So after the game, I talked to you guys just a little bit, made sure you were coming out, and then you were heading to eat. Where'd you guys go eat last night?
We went to Sonic, yeah.
Anything good going on down in Butler?
Always dumb stuff.
There was a lot of people at
There was
Sonic.
a lot of people.
A lot of trucks
Doing burnouts.
doing burnouts, yeah. This is probably the most people I've ever seen at Sonic.
It's
Really?
Mostly just a bunch of idiots. That's the truth.
Well, you guys were right in the mix, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we were the biggest idiots out there.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming out this morning, getting up early, starting to figure out how a podcast works. So I know we had to have you back. I do appreciate you taking another Saturday to come out here.
Yeah.
Really liked your Mike Tyson impersonation. Maybe we could build on that as the season goes on.
Yeah.
Connor, this is your first time out. I do appreciate you taking some time and coming out. You guys both looked incredible last night. Moving guys, getting in the backfield, maintaining blocks. Wellington Napoleon is going to be exciting to see what it looks like when they come down here. Maybe
Yep.
we'll start getting where you guys can play into the third quarter.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never take a L no more. Never take a damn thing slow. All I know is chase this dough.